This is what happens to liars and cheaters.
My name is Marcus Rodriguez, and at 38, I thought I had life figured out. Steady career, good health, a marriage that I believed could survive anything. For years, I treated marriage like a fortress built on bedrock, something that storms might batter but could never truly destroy. I was certain Jessica and I were proof that real commitment still existed. 7 years of memories, inside jokes, quiet mornings, and late-night talks had convinced me we were untouchable. I was disastrously wrong. What actually crumbled wasn't some abstract concept of forever. It was me, my sense of security, my pride, and eventually my body when I was launched from the passenger seat of her pristine BMW X7. It all began on a brisk October evening, the kind of night when the city smells like fallen leaves and faint smoke from backyard fire pits. Jessica and I were heading home from a restaurant that practically charged admission for the privilege of breathing their air. The place was one of those downtown hotspots where the menu reads like a riddle, and the plates look more like art installations than meals. We spent a small fortune for what amounted to 3 designer prawns arranged in a minimalist swirl of sauce. I teased her about needing a magnifying glass to find dinner on the plate, and she laughed, a sound that felt warm and familiar at the time. Jessica drove her glacier-white BMW X7, the kind of SUV that practically announces its owner's success. Leather that smelled faintly of vanilla, an interior glowing with subtle blue ambient lights, the faint hum of the engine so smooth you'd think the car floated. I was half lost in thought about whether to raid the fridge when we got home for an actual snack when everything detonated. Her daughter, Chloe Matthews, sat in the back seat, a 20-year-old queen of passive aggression. Chloe had despised me from the day we met. It didn't matter that Jessica and I only crossed paths 4 years after her messy divorce. In Chloe's mind, I was an invader, a usurper who stormed the castle she shared with her mother. I tried for years to win her over, covering part of her college expenses, showing up for every birthday and recital, even quietly paying a few of her bills when she mismanaged money. Not once did I get so much as a casual thank you text. She lived in a world where I was the villain who disrupted her carefully curated mother-daughter paradise. That night, she leaned forward between the front seats. I smelled her perfume first, something designer and sharp, mingling with the faint sweetness of the cocktail she'd been sipping earlier. Her presence filled the cabin like a warning siren. When she finally spoke, her voice was sweet enough on the surface, but carried a venomous undercurrent every married man recognizes. "Mom," she said, each syllable polished and deliberate, "we need to talk about Marcus." Jessica's eyes flicked to the rearview mirror, catching mine for a fraction of a second. If I'd been paying closer attention, I might have seen the flicker of hesitation already forming in her gaze, but I dismissed it, chalking it up to the usual theatrics Chloe enjoyed. Then came the grenade. "He's been stealing from you," Chloe said, her tone a masterclass in quiet malice. "I've been documenting everything. He's only here for your money. He doesn't love you. He loves your bank account." The accusation left me momentarily speechless. Me? Stealing? I had insisted from day one that we maintain separate finances, specifically to avoid these suspicions. I bought groceries with my own card, kept meticulous records of every shared expense, and even refused to trade in my aging Honda for something flashier, just so no one could accuse me of living off Jessica's salary. But the truth doesn't have to matter when a lie is perfectly timed. Chloe understood her mother's deepest insecurities and pressed them like she was punching an elevator button to hell. I finally opened my mouth to defend myself, but Jessica's voice sliced through the air like a blade. "Stop the car!" 3 words. "No, Marcus, explain. No, Chloe, do you have proof?" Just a cold command that hit me harder than any punch. The driver eased to the curb on Riverside Avenue. A jaundiced streetlight bathed everything in a sickly orange glow, and a homeless man pushing a cart slowed to watch, perhaps wondering which reality show he'd stumbled upon. "Jessica," I stammered, my voice breaking with disbelief. "You can't seriously believe. Get out!" 2 more words. That was it. 5 words total to erase 7 years of love, promises, and shared history. "Jessica, please, just listen." The passenger door flew open. Her perfectly manicured hand shot forward, shoving me with a force I never imagined she possessed. I'm 6'2", a solid 190 pounds, reasonably fit for someone approaching 40. But physics doesn't respect pride. Her push hurled me out of the still-moving vehicle. I hit the asphalt hard, skidding like a rag doll. Gravel chewed into my palms, my ribs throbbed, and I tasted iron as I bit my tongue. The world spun in dizzying circles while the BMW's taillights streaked away into the night. Through the blur, I swear I caught Chloe's silhouette in the rear window, her lips curved into the faintest smile. She had won. The homeless man approached cautiously, concern etched into his weathered face. "You okay, man?" he asked, his voice more compassionate than anything I'd heard from my wife in months. There's something cosmic about how strangers can show more humanity than those who swore to love you forever. Oddly, my first thought wasn't, I could have died. It was God. I hope nobody recorded that. That's modern life for you. Even in humiliation, we fear the viral video more than the injury. He introduced himself as Pete and helped me sit up. "Need me to call someone?" he asked. But who could I call? My wife who'd just thrown me out like yesterday's trash? Chloe, who was probably already drafting a gleeful post for social media? My mother 3 states away, who never liked Jessica and would waste no time saying, "I told you so." Pete stayed while I inventoried my injuries. Scraped palms, bruised ribs, a throbbing elbow, and an ego flattened beyond repair. "Want me to call the cops?" he finally asked, holding out an old battered phone. "That was attack!" The word hung in the air like smoke, and he was right. If a stranger had shoved me from a moving car, I'd have demanded a police report without hesitation. But this was Jessica, the woman who once made me coffee every morning, who cried during dog rescue commercials, who believed everyone deserved a second chance. Everyone, apparently, except her husband. "Not yet," I said, though every rational thought screamed to document the madness. Before the ambulance arrived, 2 more people stopped to help. A nurse named Carol who checked my pupils for a concussion, and a college kid eager to film a public service clip for domestic violence awareness. The last thing I needed was to become a TikTok cautionary tale. The paramedic, a stern Latino named Roberto, sporting a mustache that meant business, cleaned the gravel from my palms with clinical efficiency. "What happened?" he asked. "My wife threw me out of her car," I replied. "Literally? From a moving vehicle?" "Not speeding, maybe 15 miles per hour. Think aggressive eviction, not attempted homicide." "Why'd she do it?" "Her daughter claimed I was stealing from her." "Were you?" "No." "Did you tell your wife that?" "I tried. She wasn't listening." Roberto nodded with the weary look of someone who's seen every flavor of human chaos. "Want to press charges?" There it was again, the fork in the road that would turn a night of betrayal into a legal saga. I shook my head. "Not yet." The hospital blurred past in a haze of x-rays, antiseptic, and the pitying glances of nurses who'd clearly seen men like me before. Men who showed up broken not by strangers, but by the person they trusted most. The diagnosis? Bruised, but not broken. Physically, anyway. Emotionally? That would take a lot longer to heal. By the time midnight rolled around, I found myself pulling into the cracked parking lot of the Sunset Motor Inn, a place where optimism goes to suffocate. The flickering neon sign buzzed like an insect, casting a sickly pink glow over cars that looked like they'd given up long before I had. Inside, the air reeked of harsh disinfectant and something sadder, like dreams that had decayed under decades of disappointment. The carpet squished faintly underfoot, a threadbare tapestry of stains and secrets, while the wallpaper clung to the walls with the sheer stubbornness of old glue and forgotten promises. I dropped onto the squeaky bed, finally daring to check my phone. 17 missed calls from numbers I didn't recognize, 43 text messages, 67 social media notifications. For a fleeting heartbeat, hope flared. Maybe Jessica had come to her senses. Maybe she'd realized her daughter's accusations were nothing but venom and manipulation. But no, not a single message from Jessica. Instead, I scrolled through a parade of digital rubberneckers, mutual friends, distant acquaintances, even near strangers, each eager to confirm that the evening's gossip had reached me. And then I saw the post. Jessica herself had uploaded a perfectly lit photo, hair immaculate, eyes sparkling with triumph. The caption read, "Sometimes you have to cut dead weight to move forward, feeling blessed and free. #new chapter, #know your worth, #buy. Blessed and free. 7 years of marriage dismissed as dead weight, like I was an overstuffed suitcase she'd finally ditched by the roadside. The comments were worse. Friends cheering as if she'd just crossed a marathon finish line instead of committing what any cop would call vehicular attack. "You're so brave. Finally, he never deserved you." Knew something was off about him from day one. Each line jabbed like a pin in my already deflated ego. And the ugliest part? A whisper of doubt crept in. Maybe they're right. Maybe I was dead weight. That poisonous thought lasted all of 3 seconds before fury pushed it aside. Even if I'd been the most mediocre husband in history, no one deserves to be shoved out of a moving vehicle and left bleeding on asphalt like discarded trash. There's a revelation that hits hard when you find yourself effectively homeless in your late 30s. Everything you own suddenly feels ridiculous. Why did I need 17 mismatched coffee mugs? Why had I kept a blender with a cracked base for 3 pointless years, just in case? Why did my closet contain so many novelty t-shirts I never wore but couldn't bear to toss? In the span of hours, possessions that once felt like small comforts became absurd relics of a life that had evaporated. That night, I ended up at the door of Danny Reeves, an old army buddy whose default expression is equal parts suspicion and dry humor. When he opened it at 2 a.m., I must have looked like a man who'd lost a fight with a freight train. Without a word, he stepped aside. "Beer or whiskey?" he asked, as though those were the only 2 valid coping strategies, and honestly, he might have been right. Danny and I served together in Middle East 15 years ago, back when we thought we understood what real danger meant. Turns out dodging IEDs is easier than dodging emotional shrapnel launched by someone you love. At least in a war zone, you know exactly who the enemy is. His apartment was a converted warehouse that practically shouted bachelor with commitment issues, exposed brick walls, thrift store furniture with clearance practically stamped on it, and a vague industrial aesthetic that would make HGTV producers drool. He offered me his spare room, a glorified closet with a futon whose best days were 2 decades past. But compared to the Motor Inn's stale despair, it felt like a penthouse suite. By morning, Danny handed me a mug of coffee so strong it could have stripped paint off a car hood. He studied me over the steam. "So," he said, "you gonna tell me what happened, or should I guess? Right now, I'm torn between bank robbery gone bad and wife finally snapped." "Door number 2, I muttered, then gave him the full unvarnished story. Danny had met Jessica exactly twice, our wedding day and one ill-fated barbecue where she complained that the smoke might stain her designer dress. He'd always stayed politely neutral, knowing that openly criticizing a buddy's spouse is a shortcut to losing a friendship. When I finished, he let out a low whistle. "Jesus, Marcus. She threw you out of a moving car and then posted about it online. Honestly, the posting might be worse than the throwing." He wasn't wrong. The shove might have been a heat-of-the-moment explosion, but that perfectly filtered Instagram post? That was cold, deliberate, and meant to humiliate. Days blended together. I'd wake on Danny's futon feeling rerun over, drink industrial coffee, pretend job hunting while actually refreshing social media like a digital masochist. Jessica's online victory tour was full swing. Daily posts about her self-discovery journey and learning self-value. Yoga classes, friend brunches, spa treatments costing more than most rent. Captions making her sound like she'd escaped prison instead of throwing her husband from cars. Watching mutual friends choose sides hurt worst. Team Jessica was winning by landslides. I'd been upgraded from husband to that guy Jessica had to eliminate in public opinion. People who'd eaten at our house, laughed at my jokes, acted like they cared, suddenly treated me like contagious disease. Sarah from Jessica's book club unfriended me on Facebook. Tom from Couples Dinners blocked me on Instagram. Even my dentist rescheduled my appointment, and I'd bet money Jessica influenced that too. Meanwhile, Chloe was having life's time. Her social media became a victory parade with posts about toxic people and family protection, and inspirational garbage from whatever self-help book she was reading. She'd changed her profile picture to her and Jessica hugging. My queen mother knows best, #real recognize real. From a 20-year-old who'd never held jobs longer than 6 months, and whose biggest accomplishment was convincing her mother to fund Cancun's spring break, that was rich. But here's the thing about rock bottom. Eventually you dig deeper or start climbing. Around day 10 of exile, staring at another glow-up post, something shifted inside me. I was in Danny's living room, laptop balanced on knees, when I saw a post that spiked my arterial pressure to stroke levels. Picture of Jessica and Chloe at fancy restaurant, champagne glasses raised toasting. Caption, celebrating new beginnings and courage to leave the past behind. Sometimes trash takes itself out, #blessed, mother-daughter, new chapter. Trash takes itself out. That's what I was. 7 years of marriage, supporting Jessica's dreams, trying to build relationships with her poisonous daughter, and I was trash that had taken itself out. "You okay?" Danny asked, looking up from military documentaries. "You look aneurysm ready." "Just peachy. living the dream. Danny muted TV, faced me with tough love expression. How long are you going to do this to yourself? Do what? This. He gestured at me like a disappointing science experiment. Wallowing, refreshing her social media every 5 minutes, acting like kick dog hoping she'll let you back. I'm not. Yes, you are. And it's pathetic. You want to know what I think? Not really, but you'll tell me anyway. Damn right. I think you're feeling sorry for yourself because it's easier than admitting you're pissed off. And you should be pissed off, Marcus. That woman didn't just break up with you. She humiliated you. She turned you into entertainment for her social media followers. She threw you from a car like McDonald's wrapper. He was right. Of course I was furious. But fury felt dangerous. Like if I really felt it, I might do something stupid, proving Jessica and Chloe right about me being the villain. So, what am I supposed to do? Key her car? Post-revenge adult movie? Show up at her workplace with a boombox? How about you stop acting like sufferer and start acting like a man who got screwed over? How about you fight back? Fight back. 2 words that would change everything. 2 words transforming me from roadkill to hunter. That night on the futon, staring at ceiling, I thought about how easily 7 years had been erased, how quickly love became contempt, how efficiently I'd been edited from Jessica's life story. If she wanted to rewrite history, 2 could play that game. Revenge being served cold? Whoever said that never had their life blown up by a 20-year-old sociopath and enabling mother, sitting in Danny's spare room surrounded by paperwork boxes. Revenge didn't feel cold. It felt like good bourbon burning down. Warm, steady, guaranteed to mess you up if not careful. Danny's words bounced in my head 3 days. Stop acting like sufferer and start acting like a man who got screwed over. Simple advice that sounds obvious from others but feels revolutionary when it clicks in your own brain. So I did what rational men do when lives get overturned by false accusations. Dug out every document I'd carefully filed over 7 years. Bank statements, business contracts, property deeds, investment records, insurance policies, major purchase receipts, even warranty cards I'd filled religiously because you never know when you need them. Turns out you need them when wives try rewriting history, pretending you were nothing but leeches sucking them dry. Danny's dining table looked like forensic accountants had exploded. Papers sorted by year, category, relevance to the case building in my head. Danny whistled low, seeing the organizational chaos. Damn, dude, you keep better records than the IRS. Military training, I said, though honestly it was paranoia training. Growing up with a father screwed in his own divorce taught me to document everything. Paper trails tell real stories. And what a story it told. Here's what Jessica and precious daughter conveniently forgot when painting me as fortune hunter. I wasn't some random guy wandering into their lives with empty pockets and big dreams. When Jessica and I met, I was doing well for myself. Not rich by her standards, but comfortable. I had my own house, car, savings account, and consulting business turning decent profit. But love makes you stupid. Like selling your house to help new wife buy dream homes. Like investing savings when boutique businesses need capital. Like co-signing loans and risking credit because we're partners now, and partners support each other. Evidence spread across Danny's table like expensive jigsaw puzzles. Bank transfers showing my money flowing to Jessica's accounts. Business documents with both signatures establishing me as partner in her precious boutique, not some fireable employee. Investment statements showing joint accounts where my contributions were clearly documented. My favorite discovery was property records folder containing our house deed. Jessica's house, according to her social media narrative. Funny thing about that deed. Both our names, equal ownership established when we bought together using my house sale proceeds, plus Jessica's grandmother inheritance chunk. But the real gold mine was business records. Jessica's fashion boutique, yes, she'd actually named it that because creativity wasn't her strength, had been hemorrhaging money when I stepped in. Initial business plan was unicorn farm realistic. First year's financials looked like someone used cash registers as personal piggy banks. That's when I'd suggested restructuring everything. Bring real accountants, establish proper inventory controls, create actual marketing strategies instead of hoping people stumbled across overpriced scarves. I'd rolled up sleeves handling marketing myself, designing websites, setting up social media accounts, negotiating with suppliers. The turnaround was impressive. Within 18 months, we'd gone from quarterly losses to healthy profits. Business tripled customer base, expanded online sales, opened 2 additional locations. Jessica went from stressed boutique owner facing bankruptcy to successful entrepreneur with growing empire. But according to her current story, she'd done it all herself. I was just dead-weight husband along for rides, contributing nothing but taking everything. Paperwork said otherwise. Every major business decision required both signatures. Every loan application listed both incomes. Every tax return showed joint filing with shared business income. I was listed as co-owner and chief marketing officer on official business registration. This is serious ammunition, Danny said, studying particularly damaging contracts clearly showing my financial investment. What you gonna do with it? That was the million-dollar question. Having evidence is one thing. Knowing what to do is another. I could march into Jessica's boutique waving papers like some wronged businessman demanding justice. I could post my own social media takedown with photographic evidence of every financial contribution. I could show up at yoga classes making scenes giving her followers really interesting content. But those options felt small, reactive, like playing her game instead of starting my own. That's when I remembered Angela Torres. Angela and I had worked together 5 years ago when her previous firm needed marketing consultation. She was the kind of lawyer making other lawyers nervous. Brilliant, ruthless, completely immune to sob stories that made most people fold like cheap lawn chairs. She'd left to start her own practice, specializing in high-stakes divorce cases and business disputes. Her reputation was legendary. If you wanted someone destroyed legally and financially, Angela was your choice. More importantly, she'd never liked Jessica. During few meetings at business functions, Angela made clear she thought my wife was professionally charming, lawyer speak for fake as $3 bills. I found Angela's number and stared 10 minutes, thumb hovering over call button, because calling Angela meant this was real. It meant I was done hoping Jessica would apologize. It meant I was ready to burn down everything we'd built together if that's what justice required. 3 rings before Angela's efficient voice. Marcus Rodriguez, I was wondering when you'd call. You heard what happened? Honey, everyone heard. Your wife turned you into social media meme. Question is, what you gonna do about it? I looked around Danny's apartment. Futon that had been my bed 3 weeks. Boxes of belongings representing former life wreckage. Evidence spread across table proving everything Chloe said was lies. I want to take back what's mine, I said. Angela's laugh was sharp and satisfied. Good. Let's meet. Bring everything you've got, and we'll see how much your dear wife will regret throwing you from that car. How much will this cost? Don't worry about fees. Something tells me this case will pay for itself. Besides, I've been waiting for an excuse to take down someone like Jessica for years. Consider this professional pleasure. I hung up and looked at Danny, who'd listened with growing amusement. Feel better? Not yet, I said, gathering papers. But I'm about to. Because here's the thing about being underestimated. It gives you hell of an advantage when you finally decide showing people what you're really capable of. Jessica and Chloe thought they'd eliminated dead weight. They were about to learn they'd actually poked sleeping bears. While I built legal strategy, Jessica and Chloe's relationship was imploding spectacularly. Removing their common enemy, me, left them nothing to bond over except mutual blame and festering resentment. Danny reported hearing them screaming from 2 blocks during morning runs. Neighborhood sources provided intelligence. Mail carrier Janet mentioned waiting 5 minutes for shouting to die down before safely approaching Jessica's door. FedEx guy told Danny he'd turned around and left packages at depot because screaming made him think someone was being eliminated. Real gold came from Sarah, Jessica's former book club best friend. I ran into her at grocery store week after meeting Angela, and she was bursting with information dying to share. Marcus, she said, cornering me in frozen foods like she'd waited for this moment her entire life. I heard about the divorce. How are you holding up? Sarah had been Team Jessica since day one, cheerfully commenting on social media posts about cutting dead weight and knowing worth. But recent developments had caused loyalty reconsideration. I'm fine, Sarah. I just want you to know I never believed those things Chloe was saying, she said. Interesting, since she'd publicly supported Jessica's version just 2 weeks ago. I always thought there was more to the story. That's kind of you. And honestly, Sarah continued, lowering voice like discussing state secrets, I think Jessica's finally seeing what Chloe really is. The things that girl's been saying to her mother, it's just awful. This was where I should have politely excused myself, taken high road, and refused engaging in gossip. Instead, I found myself asking, what kind of things? Sarah's eyes lit up like Christmas morning. Well, according to Lisa, who heard from her daughter who works at the boutique, Chloe showed up last week screaming at Jessica in front of customers. Called her pathetic old woman, too stupid to see you were playing her all along. Even by Chloe's standards, that was impressively vicious. From what Lisa heard, Jessica finally lost it, started yelling about how Chloe had lied to her, ruined the best relationship she'd ever had, turned her into the kind of person who throws husbands from cars. Sarah shook her head, amazed. Apparently, she kicked Chloe out and told her not to return. This was getting better. Not only were they fighting, but Jessica was finally understanding the scope of what her daughter had done. Like watching someone wake from 7-year coma and realize their entire life had been lies. The court hearing was beautiful. Jessica's lawyer tried arguing her business success was primarily due to her vision and creativity, while my contributions were minimal. Judge Patterson looked at him like he'd suggested gravity was optional. Angela presented complete financial audit showing before my involvement, business lost approximately $35,000 quarterly. Within 6 months of my investment and operational involvement, it showed first profit. Current quarterly profits averaged $70,000. Furthermore, Angela continued, Mr. Rodriguez's marketing strategies resulted in 350% customer base increase. His inventory management reduced overhead by 38%. Supplier negotiations improved profit margins by 25%. Judge asked Jessica directly, "Do you dispute these financial records?" Jessica, looking like she'd aged 5 years, answered quietly, "No, Your Honor." "Do you dispute that you physically removed Mr. Rodriguez from your vehicle and posted about it online?" "No, Your Honor." Judge Patterson awarded me 50% of all business assets, 50% of jointly acquired property, and recognition as co-owner of Jessica's fashion boutique. The gavel came down with beautiful finality. Outside courthouse, Jessica caught up with me. She looked smaller, diminished. "Marcus, I just wanted to say I'm sorry. About the car, about believing Chloe, about everything. Sorry doesn't fix 7 years of marriage to someone who believed the worst about me without asking for my side." "I think I'm finally seeing what Chloe really is," Jessica said quietly. "Good. Maybe next time you'll think twice before letting 20-year-olds run your life." 3 months later, I'm in my new downtown apartment, running my own consulting firm. The settlement exceeded expectations. Jessica was forced to sell our house, splitting proceeds. Her business is struggling without my operational expertise. Inventory piling up, customer complaints increasing, marketing budget wasted on flashy campaigns that look good but don't drive sales. Final piece of poetic justice came when Danny ran into Chloe at coffee shop. She was working as barista, probably her first real job ever. "She looked like hell," Danny reported with obvious satisfaction. Hair and messy bun, coffee-stained uniform, dead-eyed expression from dealing with entitled customers all day. 2 weeks later, Chloe approached me outside my office. She looked nothing like the confident young woman who destroyed my marriage. Thinner, exhausted, dressed in normal clothes instead of boutique items. "Marcus, can we talk? I wanted to apologize for what I said, for what I did to you and Mom. I'm listening. I was jealous. Mom was so happy with you, and I felt like I was losing her. So I convinced myself you were the problem and did everything I could to get rid of you, including lying about the theft. It was the first honest thing I had ever heard from her, about 4 months too late. You got what you wanted," I said. "You have her all to yourself now." "No, I don't. She won't even talk to me anymore. She blames me for ruining her marriage, destroying her business, everything that's gone wrong." The final irony. Chloe had gotten exactly what she thought she wanted, only to discover that destroying other people's happiness doesn't make you happy. It just makes you the kind of person who destroys other people's happiness. "I already forgave you," I told her. "But that doesn't mean I trust you or want you in my life. Some things break in ways that can't be fixed." Now I'm standing on my balcony with wine, looking at city lights and thinking about second chances. Not the kind where you go back and try fixing what's broken, but where you take what you've learned and build something better. I got my revenge not by screaming or plotting, but by refusing to let their toxicity define my future. I built a life better than anything I could have had with them, and that was the sweetest revenge of all. The business is now worth double what it was during divorce, and Jessica recently reached out through her lawyer asking about buying back my share. I declined. Some bridges are meant to stay burned.